Isla, firstly, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How's things been recently? You know, how are you finding mental health? How have you been?
I'd say in the past couple of months it's been a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, coming into uni, moving to Edinburgh, it's been a big change in my life the past few months, and I think I have struggled. I don't know, just it's hard to put your finger on it. I think with mental health at times, and I feel, you know, I'd even say the past week, getting out of bed's been a massive struggle. Forcing myself just to get up, go get breakfast has been quite challenging. But I suppose it's just about making sure that I push myself and to get out of my bed and get my shower and get something to eat and get out and even if it's a walk, you know, do some sort of exercise, because that's always what helps me throughout. So it's been a bit of a struggle, but I know how to, with my own mental health, I know the sort of things that do make me better and feel better. So just try to make sure I put them into place.
Yeah. Do you identify kind of triggers quite early on?
Quite early on, I am. It's definitely something that I feel I've learned. It just took me a lot of years to find out those sort of triggers, or those warning signs, as I call them. But I am able to identify them early, so I can put in, you know, those measures in place to prevent it to get in a full-blown sort of breakdown in a way.
And what are the kind of the key aspects that help you? You know, that kind of clear your head a bit more?
For me, it's exercise, physical exercise, football. You know, football at the end of the day has saved my life, and I'm very open about that. You know, whether it's watching a game, refereeing, you know, kicking a ball about on my own, that's my go-to. That's my time where I forget about everything else that's going on at that time of my life. I'm just solely focused on football. It's the only thing I can think about, and it's the only thing that, in that terms of, you know, helping me escape is football. It's my life revolves around football, and it's the thing I go to the most. You know, obviously I've got great support through family, but you know, when I'm refereeing, I've got 22 players plus a ball flying about the place. You know, to think about, I can't. My head's just, you know, solely just focused on that game for those 90 minutes, which I love. I can't think of anything else that I'd rather be doing at that time than playing football.
So obviously we're talking about mental health. When's the first time you can identified any issues with your mental health?
So I was 13. I remember sitting on the stairs. I was screaming at home. I was not wanting to go to school. I didn't want to put my uniform on. I couldn't eat. I didn't, you know, wasn't sleeping. I just could not leave the house. And that was when my dad noticed there was something quite wrong. And he took me to the doctors to sort of see if there, you know, what could be done. And that was when the doctor said anxiety, depression. And at that age, I didn't really know what that was. And it wasn't until I got counselling and support that I thought, oh, I am unwell. I thought it was just something that every typical 13-year-old goes through, you know, with the changing stages in their life. But when I started to open up and really how I felt, I realised that this wasn't normal. So I was quite young, but at the same time, I'm still here today.
How's your life kind of changed since, you know, that first episode that you encountered with, you know, mental health?
Yeah, it's definitely changed a lot. Being so young, it was so difficult. You know, I stopped eating, I stopped drinking, didn't go to school, stopped socialising, just locked myself away. So the early stages of my diagnosis was difficult, but it's changed my life. You know, I'm now doing mental health nursing because I want to be able to help people that are gone through, you know, coming on the journey of recovery, like I've been through. So it's changed a lot, but it's made me the person I am today, and it made me want to help other people going through the struggles that I've been through. So Alan, how are you today? How's your mental health been?
Last couple of weeks, I've been in a good place. I've had a couple of weeks off. I won't lie, prior to that, for the last 5-6 months, I have struggled at times. Similar to yourself, I'm very aware of the triggers within my mental health, and I'm surrounded by good people, good support network. So I'm very open to go and discuss with, you know, key people, certain individuals that, you know, kind of get me back on track. Probably indicators around probably overworking, too many hours. But as we spoke about, football, we love it, and I spend most of my life in and around, you know, the grass pitch. So probably overdone it a wee bit. I do suffer from an element of anxiety, and as we know, it's not a nice feeling at times. But as I say, the last couple of weeks it's been a lot better, and I would certainly say that's been down to getting a bit of time off, getting time to reflect, and obviously getting to do the things that we enjoy doing that help us kind of refocus.
So your brother, what was he like? You know, what's happened with your brother?
Yeah, we lost Mark 2005. He had a lot of issues with his mental health. I think we're going back 17 years now. So the support then probably wasn't anywhere near at the levels it was today. You know, it's still very raw at times to discuss. He was my best friend, with similar character traits. But I always knew the way he spoke that he would take his own life. He spoke about it very flippantly. And there's probably a phrase that he always would say. He said, "You don't understand. I wish I could just take my brain out my head, you know, unzip and just wash it under a tap, and I would feel so much better, but I can't get to do it." So 15th of September 2005, tragically he took his own life.
So when did you first realise that your brother was struggling, you know, with mental health?
Probably 8 to 10 years prior to that. One thing that we'll never know to this day, would never let any of us know the reasons why. There's obviously key triggers and indicators that have happened in his young life that's obviously made him feel this way. And there would be periods, long periods, where he'd be really well. Worked very hard in the gym, looked after his physical fitness, but then, you know, that cycle would return again, and probably to blot it out, we would turn to, you know, drink and drugs, which would only make the cycle worse. And there was loads of attempts on his life during that period. But as I say, that kind of, I think the year before he was in a good place, and then again simple triggers affected him, and yeah, there was 4 or 5 days build up where we couldn't really get a hold of him, and I remember it very well. As I said, 15th of September, I think I was playing with Airdrie at the time, Queen of the South. Actually get sent off that day as well, and went round to his flat to check on him, and paramedics etc were already there, and he was gone, and then the hard part is having to go and, you know, tell my mum that excuse me, that memory will never leave me, having to tell my mum that. So he was a wonderful human being. I miss him every minute, every day, and I just wish there was more support there at that time. So yeah.
So what, you know, impact did that have, you know, losing your brother, someone so close to you? You know, what impact did it have on you at the time?
Still to this day, it devastated our family. Devastated. You know, I can still struggle with it, you know, 17 years later. How my mum and dad have coped. I mean, I would always look at the thought of ever losing one of my own children, and how people survive that. But it's understand that it's such a difficult situation that people can find themselves in, but also the damage and the impact that the people that are left behind. It was, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But life, you find a way, you get the right support, the right counselling, and similar to what we're discussing about our own mental health, you go and speak to people, you discuss it, you talk through the problems, and although it's tough, you come out the other side, and we've got to keep moving on as well.
So how important do you think it is to talk about suicide as well as suicidal thoughts?
Well, it's massively important. I think if you're not in a good place with your mental health, sometimes we can be on top of it. There's other times where we can struggle badly, and it's important if you've got those thoughts in your head that you go and speak to people, you get it out there, because it's that old phrase again. It is good to talk, and that 5-10 minutes of just opening up and getting what's in your head out in the open and discussing with somebody else might just be enough, to relieve that tension and keep you here.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. From someone that has struggled with their own mental health and has had suicidal thoughts at times, that the best thing I've done is open up about it. Whether that was to family, through counselling, it is such an important thing to talk about. Some people realise, talking it's such a simple thing to do, but when it comes to your own mental health and your own struggles, people feel embarrassed by it, and it certainly shouldn't be something that people are embarrassed about. There's so much support and help out there, and there's people that want to be able to help, whether it's your family or qualified counsellors or whoever it may be. There's people that are out there that will listen and want to listen as well. And it's one thing. I think mental health is such an isolating feeling. Struggling with your own mental health, there's so many people out there that do struggle, but yet you still feel so alone and so isolated. But I think it's so important to open up and find out that you're not alone, and that there is people that are willing to support you throughout your whole journey and beyond.
So Isla, how important do you think it is then to open up, to your family, your friends, your teammates, your colleagues about your mental health?
It is so important. Obviously my mum had a stroke, which had a big impact on my life. So for a while, I struggled to speak to my parents, as they had so much else going on. My mum recovering from her stroke, and my dad looking after all us. So I struggled for a bit, but when it came to light how bad I was, my family were there, every step, every minute of the day, and they still are. Yeah, I'm living in Edinburgh, but then I'm back home in Perth. I call my mum daily, if not twice a day at times, and having my colleagues, people within university that I speak to quite often, and my best pals, and as well as in refereeing, it's a massive part of my life, and I'm lucky to have mental health first aiders within our association, and people that I can speak to on a regular basis. One of my best pals, she's a referee as well, and we'll have regular coffee dates and go out for lunch and things, and we might not talk about mental health, but that's such a big thing. That's something that keeps me going, just talking about everyday life and socialising, having a laugh and relaxing and forgetting about things. That speaking about it is so important, so important. If I didn't open up, or my dad didn't take me to the doctors that day, I might not have been here today. I might have just bottled everything up, and who knows what had happened. And I thank every day that I'm still here and that I am open about it, but it's so important to talk.
Yeah, I think, as you say, it's so important to talk. There's been that stigma, particularly in a male-orientated environment, about, man up, get on with things, and that has certainly changed. I think changing the terminology, if you are maybe struggling about usually saying I'm okay, actually saying, do you know what, I'm not okay. I'm very fortunate to say I'm surrounded by very similar people who will pick up the phone, who will just open up and discuss how they are feeling, and as you say, going for a coffee, getting away from the workplace environment, and just being grateful for what you have, and that we're alive and we've got air in our lungs. But as you say, it's so important, even if we think it's a trivial problem, get it out in the open, discuss it, because it will make you feel better in the long run.
So Alan, like, how important was football for you after everything that happened with your brother?
Everything. We lost Mark on a Saturday. I was back in the pitch on Monday morning. Because for however long you train or play, for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, you can escape every problem that you have and you can leave it at the side of the pitch. And you go onto that pitch and you can do what you love doing the most. You know, I've been fortunate enough to be in professional football since I left school. I don't know anything else, and at that time I was probably hopeless on the pitch, but that 2-3 hours, being able to do what I love doing, but also having the support of the teammates and the coaching staff round about me, definitely helped so much during that first 2 weeks after we'd lost Mark. How important have you found football to be, you know, on your journey? Particularly, how do you find it supporting your mental health as well?
So important.
Yeah.
You know, obviously lockdown was difficult for everybody. My mum she was at high risk, so she had to totally isolate. I still had to work to pay my bills, so I moved out to Broughty Ferry to stay with my uncle and auntie through there. And you know, football stopped, the game stopped, refereeing stopped, the one thing I loved doing all stopped. And I found that really challenging, but you know, the football memories and the old games that were coming on TV, I used to sit with my uncle, you know, at the weekend, and we would sit and watch these games and, you know, talk about the games he went to when he was younger, and it was something that kept me going. It was so good. And you know, it's been so long since I was, you know, my journey of mental health had started, but football is still that one thing that keeps me going. You know, I'm struggling a bit, but I know I've got a game at the weekend, and I know for that, you know, whether it's a kids game, an amateur game or a junior game, you know, however long the game is, I know I've got so much to focus on during that time, and it's just my escape. It's the one place I feel everything goes out of my head apart from the laws of the game, but some people may question that.
Yeah.
But it's that one time that
Yeah.
I feel so relaxed and can do what I absolutely love doing, and I would be lost without it.
Would you say you appreciate it even more now after COVID? I know my own thoughts on that 18 months to 2 years, you know, something that is your passion just gets taken away from you. Would you say that, you know, you appreciate even more now being back on the pitch?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Every time I put that kit on, you know, or my boots on and grab my whistle, you know, I do appreciate it so much more, knowing that we've come out the other end still, you know, healthy and can be able to go back to doing the one thing that I love doing, and knowing that my love for it hasn't gone, you know, that thing being taken away from you for so long, but knowing that you're still going and you've still got it there, and I take it you'd feel the same with your football.
Absolutely. Even something as simple as been off for 2 weeks and been fortunate enough to be back in and working with the first team the last couple of days. I don't think I've been happier, you know, than the last couple of days. So I think sometimes prior to COVID we would take what we do for granted, but you know, that's had a huge impact, and as you say, I think we realise the positive impact that being on the pitch and being in and around, you know, good people has on our mental health.
So, you know, why are you choosing to support, you know, FC United?
I think we know, I know a lot of the guys who have supported it already. I think two key areas for me, we're discussing mental health and we're talking about suicide prevention. I've obviously got, you know, a lot of experiences negatively through my brother. I'm very aware of the impact that it has on individuals who suffer with, you know, poor mental health, but I'm also very aware of the impact, you know, of what suicide has on the people that are left behind. And if there's anything that I can do, anything that I can say that may support somebody who is struggling with their mental health or they're feeling suicidal, then I want to be able to help. Because as we spoke about, just sitting down and having a discussion with somebody may be enough to save their life. And if I can do that in any small way, I want to support that.
Yeah.
Same with yourself, Isla. What's your thoughts?
You know, being somebody that has always wanted to help other people from when I was young to now, you know, being able to raise awareness is so important to me. There's so many people out there that, you know, stigma around mental health is still there, and not many people do open up as such. And especially within football, you've got, you know, like you say, the male-dominated sort of sport, and you do see a lot of, you know, it's like that male stigma of being, oh, man up, get on with it, you know, whereas it is something that is, you know, men do struggle with widely across, you know, all areas of football, whether it's background staff or the actual players. And, you know, raising awareness is so important, and having that conversation, and whether it's having a conversation with your teammates, you know, during training, after training, you know, it's that support mechanism that you've got there. So anything to raise awareness, and I'll happily shout from the rooftops to help and support people. And I want to, you know, be there to pick. If somebody needs a phone call, I'm there, you know, then the other end of the line, you know, I'm more than happy just to sit and listen, because I think with mental health, sometimes you don't want somebody to respond. It's just about somebody listening is so important, and there's so many people out there that will listen. It's just about, you know, getting the courage to open up. So, you know, what sort of message would you have, you know, to anybody that's watching this about their own mental health, and what advice would you give them?
Firstly, that you're not alone, that there is so many people out there, friends, family, colleagues, specialists, that want to support you, they want to listen, and they want to help you get through this period of time that you may be struggling with. And although it may not feel like it just now, you can come out the other side. I say we're proof of that. We're talking candidly about, you know, our experiences, and yes, we'll still have our down days, but with the right help and support which is out there, then you can come out the other side. But it's so important that you have the courage to open up. However small the problem or however large the problem, there's always somebody here that can support and help you get through these difficult times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said before, it's a very isolating place. You can feel very alone, but there is other people, you know, out there that are willing to help. And I always say to people, you know, it feels like you're in a big dark bubble, and the bubble is never going to burst, and there will not be light at one point. But I always say to people, you just got to keep poking, and just keep poking at that bubble, whether that's seeking help or speaking to people, you know, doing something you enjoy, hobbies, anything. You know, eventually that bubble will burst, and there is light, and you will become to learn, you know, how to cope with it and manage it, and you will get back on your feet. It's just so important to open up and talk about it, because as you know, we say to this day, it's what's helped us.
Absolutely.